Hello and welcome to another episode of the Two Charlottes Spill the Tea. This week we thought we would dig into the law of attraction a little bit more. Everybody has probably heard about it, a lot of people know about it, but do we really know about, the law of attraction? Do we know how it works, what it is, how to use it, how to integrate it into our lives? So to start off the episode, I thought I would read a little thing out of the book The Secret, which if you haven't read it, I suggest that you do because it is kind of the law of attraction Bible. It's where everything started for a lot of people. It's definitely where the law of attraction started for me. That's where I kind of first learned about it. But there was a little section in the book which to me summed up what the law of attraction is, what the secret is quite well. So I thought I would just read it before we kind of dig into the conversation. So it's a quote in the book from Bob Proctor. He's one of the guys that talks quite a lot throughout The Secret about, different parts of it and how to use it. So this is what he says anyway. So he says, you're probably sitting there wondering, what is the secret? I'll tell you how I've come to understand it. We all work with one infinite power. We all guide ourselves by exactly the same laws. The natural laws of the universe are so precise that we don't even have any difficulty building spaceships. We can send people to the moon and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Wherever you are, India, Australia, New Zealand, Stockholm, London, Toronto, Montreal, or New York, we are all working with one power, one law, and it's attraction. The secret is the law of attraction. Everything that is coming into your life, you are attracting into your life. And it's attracted to you by the virtue of the images you are holding in your mind. It's what you are thinking. Whatever is going on in your mind, you are attracting to you. So to me, like that makes perfect sense. Like it is, the law of attraction is what you are attracting into your life. And that, you know, that that's kind of the bottom line of it, isn't it? Really, like the law of attraction is attracting things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's like that saying, what you pay attention to, you become aware of.
Yeah,
Um, the more you focus on something, the more you see it in your life, even down to, like we were saying this the other day, if you get pregnant, suddenly you see pregnant people everywhere. Suddenly it's all you kind of
all
see.
you can see.
And that's because it's all you're thinking about. So even on like that kind of basic level, the law of attraction is always working.
100%. I actually had this conversation with Grace in the car only a few days ago. So we got a new car not that long ago, literally last week. And before we got it, we knew which one we were going to get, but we hadn't seen one driving around. Like, so we were looking out for them everywhere, like, so we could see one driving around, and we couldn't see any of them. As soon as we got it, now we see loads. So now we're driving that car, like on the school run. I think we drive past like two or three of the exact same model of our car. And I was explaining this to Grace and saying, like, in a nutshell, that is kind of the law of attraction. Like now you're constantly looking for that car, and now you see it because you're focusing it, you're putting your energy on looking for that one particular thing.
That car. Yeah, it's so true. And I really love that. And I think as well, something that both of us wanted to do is the law of attraction is kind of really linked to like the attitude of gratitude. And a lot of people get very confused when they think the law of attraction and they just think, oh, manifestation. So they think, oh, all I've got to do is think about the things I want or put it on a vision board and
Mhm.
it will happen. But it's not quite like that. It's like something we wanted to kind of do tonight, I think, is explain a little bit more like what the law of attraction is and how it really works
Yeah.
for people. Because I mean, you can just sit there and try and think something into existence, but it's more about, like, I do believe that your thoughts become things,
Hmm.
but it's the thoughts that create the vibration that you operate on that helps the things come into play. So, like when we're talking of the law of attraction, we're talking about a kind of universal energy, a universal law, very much like the law of gravity. So, if something's on the ground, it's not going to go down anymore. But if you drop something, it's going to fall to the ground because gravity pulls it down.
Yeah.
So, like with the law of attraction, it's another, like what you were saying earlier, it's another universal law, but you have to be operating on the right frequency to attract that into
Yeah.
your life. So I say the right frequency. It doesn't matter what frequency you operate on, whatever that frequency is you operate on is what you're attracting back into your life, because that's how this law works. The law of attraction is like a one of these, in my opinion, is one of these fundamental basic like laws of the universe. It's something that
Yeah.
happens whether it happens consciously or subconsciously. So it's like when you get out of bed in the morning, if you stub your toe, trip over your clothes, you know it's going to be a bad day. You know you're going to have a bad day. You'll be late getting into work. Someone will hold you up. You'll have an argument with someone, and your day can go from bad to worse because that's where your mindset is. Like you
Yeah.
you wake up, have a bad start to the morning, and it puts you in a bad mood, and then you're grumpy and impatient all day, and you're emitting a low vibration that brings about a lot more of that like low energy into your life. But if
Yeah.
you get up and have a really positive morning routine, and say your affirmations, and you're singing and you're happy and you're dancing, you're vibrating at a higher frequency, and you're going to have a much better day because you bring more of that into your life. And it's I mean, it sounds so simple. It really is that simple. It's about not wanting things or not wishing for things, but it's about like consciously creating those things happening in your life by emitting the right frequency and by changing your mindset and your thoughts to the right frequency. And it's not just like thinking those thoughts, it's kind of feeling that emotion that comes with it. Like you can't just think, yes, I'm happy, I want to be happy all the time, but not feel happy,
You have to
because the
believe it.
universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. So you have to
Mm.
change like the way you feel, don't you think?
Yeah, you have to believe what you're saying. You can't just sit there every day and say, I'm going to be happy and positive and, good things are coming to me when actually deep down you're feeling sad, depressed, hopeless, and not actually believing what you're putting out there,
Mm.
because then you're actually not on the right frequency. You're not vibrating at the higher level, because all things that are, the positive, happy, abundant things that you want to bring into your life, like success and prosperity and money and love and all of that, vibrate on the highest frequency. So if you're sat there telling yourself, I'm happy, but not feeling happy, then it's pointless. You might as well just be sad, because you're not actually doing
Yeah.
anything to work towards going in that direction. You have to actually really wholeheartedly feel it. And I think
Yeah.
I think that sounds really easy, but actually that does take time and that does take practice, because especially if you're going through a really rough time, like you're in a really bad place, you've got a lot of, things going on, and I mean this with like all the love in the world, but the reason you're in that place is because you have brought that into your life, because you vibrated on such a low
Mm.
frequency for such a long time.
Mm.
And I say that, and some things do come into people's lives that are just completely out of the blue and random. But if you are in kind of like consistently feeling that way, I do feel like that's when you need to really start shaking it up, because you're bringing more and more of it to yourself. But then
Yeah.
that can be the hardest time to do it, because you're feeling so hopeless and it's like, I can't see a reason. And that's when you have to have this like blind faith in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to say something there as well. about like when the whole life throws you a curveball.
Mm,
Sometimes, even if, right, because sometimes people say to me, I don't understand. I've been doing my affirmations, I've been doing my morning routine, I've been meditating, I've really been working on myself and, trying to raise my vibration. And I don't understand why everything's going wrong in my life. Like I've just split up with my boyfriend or I've lost my job and whatever. I just want to say that sometimes these things have to happen in
mm,
order for the outcome we want to
to
come
come.
about. So
Yeah,
sometimes what you think as a really bad thing, maybe your boy, like the universe knows things that you don't, or, the powers that be, it knows and understands things that you don't. So if you're vibing real high, right? But maybe your boyfriend was cheating on you behind your back and you didn't know about it, or, maybe he just wasn't the right person for you. Maybe down the line, your paths would have gone separate ways anyway. So maybe the universe shook that up and made you lose that friend, lose that
yeah,
boyfriend, lose that girlfriend, lose that job because it knew something that you didn't know right then. And what might seem like utter heartache or devastation or your life being flipped upside down actually could be the beginning of something really amazing for you
yeah,
because this is where, you've been vibrating. This is where you have to not lose that faith and focus inwards, focus on yourself and understand that, there is a plan for everything and that something good is going to come around through this, you know. With hindsight, everything looks very, very different. And I know some people might say, look, I didn't deserve that abuse that I suffered or this, that, and whatever I went through. You can't tell me that I brought that on myself. But I have been through that kind of thing before as well. And you have as well. And we've both come out, like we said in our other podcast, we're both living lives that we used to dream we'd be able to live one day. And I know that I had to go through a lot of bad things to get to that. Um, and I think that just brings me that bit more faith to know that, look, sometimes things have got to get shook up for the right thing to happen. But that's when you dig in deeper and work a bit harder on yourself, I think. And, push that, like you said, keep the faith, like push those routines harder and focus on your happiness.
and it is having, there is a little bit of having kind of blind faith in the universe, but we have that faith in loads of other aspects. So we don't question electricity, we don't question gravity, we don't question radio waves and television signals, but because they just happen, but we can't see them, we can't touch them, we can't feel them, like, but we just know they work. We blindly, believe in these things. And also, and maybe I need to just prefix this with maybe don't listen to this if you have small children around. We blindly believed in Santa, okay? Like we blindly believed that a man in a red suit was going to come down your chimney and give you presents for how many years of your life? Like, and you had absolutely no problem believing in that. Like, so there is that element of blind faith, but I do agree with what you're saying that even in really hopeless, awful situations, there is always a lesson in absolutely everything. So when something happens or doesn't happen necessarily the way that you thought it was going to, so you lose your job or a relationship breaks down or you lose a family member or something, you have a car accident or an illness or something like that, and you think, well, hang on a minute, like this, I'm meant to be only bringing good things into my life and happiness and positivity, but there will be a reason for that. So there'll be a reason that that relationship broke down because, yeah, maybe something's going on that you can't see, or you will have lost that job because you're destined to do something else. A better job is out there, a better person for you is out there. Maybe you're meant to get an illness so that it can open your eyes to different things, make you appreciate things better. Like there's always a positive reason for stuff happening. Like I sit there and think, I didn't deserve at 13 to lose my dad, but
Yeah.
it made me appreciate all the people that I did still have in my life, and made me, you know, very appreciative of the family that I had, and not to take people for granted, not to just assume that everyone's going to be around all the time, you know. So you don't deserve to lose someone close to you, but it makes you appreciate the people you do have. So, I think that's something to bear in mind, that if you are really trying and really kind of pushing towards being on a high frequency and doing the inner work, bad stuff is going to happen, but it is all for the greater good in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, no, really is. There's always a reason for everything happening. And I think another thing that I wanted to add on to something that makes it much easier to practice the attitude of gratitude is living in the moment, like living in the present moment, because we're not alive in the past and we're not alive in the future. Like we're only alive right here and right now. And I know that every single person is guilty of living in the past and in the future
Yeah,
quite often at the same time while they're living in the present moment as well, because your brain is constantly thinking about what happened the other day with so and so, or when you said this, or who said that, or did you put the bins out, or have you paid that bill, did that get done? Like that is a constant. And then
yeah,
also worrying about the future. Am I going to get that job I want? Is so and so going to be all right in school, or is this going to be all right, or what might someone think if I do this? And we're all guilty of that, and it's something that takes constant work. But when you realize that the only moment that actually matters is the one that you're living in right now, it becomes a lot easier to clear the distractions of everything else that has been or might be, because
yeah,
half of those things that you think likely aren't going to happen, especially if you're directing your energy into creating one outcome.
yeah,
So if you know what your outcome is going to be, 9 times out of 10, that's where your outcome is going to end up, because you're going to work towards that and make it happen. But if you focus on the present moment and how everything is right here in this moment, you'll realize that everything is exactly as it should be. And one place I find the easiest to do that is going for a walk in the woods. And
yeah,
I just, there's something so grounding about just being out in the woods. And if you ever want to feel grateful for life, like going for a walk in the woods on a sunny day and just like taking in all that nature around you and thinking, you know, how incredible it is that you're here, right now. For a start, I mean, how many grandparents did you have, who were exactly who they were to create you to be exactly who you are today? Like when you start thinking of things like that, it's like, wow, how did I get to be here? Like, I'm so
yeah,
lucky to have this chance at life. And I watched something the other day, and at the beginning, there was a quote, and it said, where it was about kind of aliens and stuff like that. And it said, we're either alone in this universe or we're not. And either one of those thoughts is equally terrifying. But I personally think either one of those thoughts is equally incredible. Like, if
yeah,
we are alone in this universe, if we are the only life forms in this universe, which I find very hard to believe because the universe is
infinite.
massive.
Yeah,
It's literally so big. I find it very hard to believe. But if we are, that in itself is nothing short of absolutely miraculous. And the fact that
yeah,
you have a chance at a life to experience everything, the ups, the downs, the joy, everything is just incredible. And I mean, for that alone, we should all be eternally grateful every day for the fact that we get to experience everything that life has for us. And I do mean even the bad and good times, because it's all an experience. And you're very lucky to be alive and have that experience. And if we aren't alone, then that's just equally amazing, because somewhere out there is some other people or beings or whatever they are. I don't know. There's other people out there wondering probably the very same thing. Like, are we alone? Are we not? And how incredible is that? And one day, if Earth works towards it enough, we might get to go out among the stars and look for other things. And that's just like, when you start thinking of things like that, I've probably gone well off topic here, but I just find when you start thinking of things like that, like how amazing that is, how mind blowing, and how grateful that makes me
Mm.
feel to be on this earth is like puts it all into perspective for me.
No, no, do you know, I agree with that. And, you know, sometimes you can kind of think too much about that stuff and it kind of makes my brain hurt to think of all the
Yeah,
actual like amazing things.
possibilities.
But and because the possibilities for life are completely and utterly endless. But
Yeah,
I do think, you know, like I agree with you in the sense that one of the best ways to ground yourself is to go and do something outside.
yeah.
There's something really, you know, if you're close to a beach, go and
Oh, the
just
beach.
look at the sea. Because if you look at the sea, it makes you realize how massive this world is. And then you're
Yeah,
like, there's so many possibilities are endless. It makes you realize how small you are in comparison
yeah,
to,
yeah,
you know, everything. But nature is definitely something that makes you feel grateful.
yeah. Every time, without a shadow of doubt. And even if you can't walk, or something like you can't see or you can't hear, if you can't hear, you can still go outside and see.
Yeah,
If you can't see, you can still go outside and hear. And if you can't walk, you can still sit outside and see and hear.
yeah.
And there is just something really beautiful about sitting outside. Yeah, for me, either on the beach, at the top of a mountain, or in the
Mhm.
woods, and just sitting there and absorbing,
Yeah.
absorbing nature. Because I always get overcome and I always just think, how lucky am I to be able to be here right now? Like, I love it. I love being in nature anyway. I could definitely
Mm.
not live in a city, but I know that some people will go outside in the city and feel that same
Yeah,
sense of
yeah,
luck and love. Like for some people, it might be going outside in the city and feeling all that energy of all those people and everything all around them and the buildings and the architecture. And they could be just like, wow, as if I get to live here. Like for me, that would drive me mental.
me too. Yeah, me too. I don't think I could do. I'm definitely a suburban slash country girl. I don't
Country.
think I
Yeah, me
could
too.
do like my closest city is London, and it terrifies me. Every time I go there, I can't drive there because there's just too many people and cars and cyclists and trucks. And
Everything.
every time I've been on a tube or a train, it's just like, oh my God, there's so many people here. I feel like I'm actually suffocating. I can't, yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. Like, I'm quite lucky where I am that I actually live in the woods, basically. Like,
I love it.
it's like I've got about 25 trees around my house. So, and we are really like, you know, out in it. So we can just sit outside on the steps and get
Listen to the
nature.
birds.
Yeah, and I get woken up by them now, and we actually have a woodpecker living in the tree
Oh,
right behind my like bedroom. So every
wow.
morning it's like I'm like, oh yeah, good morning.
Oh, that's
Good
amazing.
morning,
I don't think
woodpecker.
I've ever seen a woodpecker in real life.
I've not seen him, I can just hear him.
Hear 'em.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's crazy.
that's amazing. But yeah, like I do think that learning to live with an attitude of gratitude is a fast track way
Yeah.
to opening up the law of attraction for you.
It's kind of a fundamental thing to start doing because
Yeah,
also one thing of when you show gratitude and feel gratitude, it like immediately raises your vibration,
yeah,
immediately puts you on a higher frequency.
mm,
So it opens up the possibility for using the law of attraction, starting to manifest, using the
starting
universe
to
and
receive.
energy and receiving the things that you're putting out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and the more gratitude you show for things, the more things you will have to be grateful for.
yeah. And then you can learn like how to focus your gratitude onto things. So, like, for example, when you do your food shop, like if you get really excited about your food shop and you feel really grateful for the food that you've been able to buy and the things that you've been able to buy because you've got such an abundance of money to be able to go and do that. Even if you don't think you have, but I mean, like when you go and do your weekly food shop, if you change your mindset to feel gratitude for what you've got instead of stressed for what you don't have, when you start feeling stressed for what you couldn't afford and don't have, you'll begin to bring more of that into your life. So you'll
Yeah.
find yourself being more stressed because you don't have. And, you know, because the universe responds to that. So it gives you back the same. If you're vibrating at a level of like stress and want and not having enough, you're going to constantly bring the experience of wanting and being stressed into your life. But if you can learn to be like really happy and grateful about what you have and what you can manage to buy, and I always do it because it's when I remember, is when I'm doing things like that. So like when I'm paying my bills, I'm always like, I'm so grateful that we can afford to pay these bills. Do you know? Like I'm so
Yeah.
grateful that I've got that money there that I can afford to do it. And I'll pay a bill. And I'm like, yes, that's another bill paid, you know, happy about that. And the same, like when we do the food shopping, I'm like, I'm so grateful that we have enough, you know, that we have plenty of nice food and we never go without. And when we pay the rent, I'm so grateful that we've got a home to live in, a lovely home, and just things, you know, things like that. And like when I look at my kids, like I'm always so grateful that my kids are happy and healthy and well and doing well. Same with my husband, you know, my friends. And you can, when you start pushing that gratitude onto other people too, so you know that in turn is another huge thing that can open up a lot more in the way of being open to receiving as well. So it's just learning to find, like for me, I find things really hard to remember to do unless I kind of like, I think it's called habit stacking, but I use it in like so like what I just explained there, like paying a bill, I'll be grateful for that will remind me, right, time to be grateful for my
Yeah.
finances. Food shopping, be grateful for my food. So it's like I stack that idea on top of the action of
Yeah.
doing, and that's how I remember. But there is a thing in one of the books from The Secret. It's the magic, which is like a practical everyday uses, you know, how you can bring that secret into your life more, was the gratitude stone. And I did that for a really long time as well. I have a little stone, it's just like a little smooth oval shaped pebble I found on the beach. So the idea is you go out and you find yourself the perfect little stone that you can rub your thumb, you know, over, and you put it in your pocket of like coat or your trousers or whatever. So every time you put your hand in your pocket and you feel the stone, you remember to be grateful about something in your life or in your day right there and right then. And that's another really good way to remember to be grateful for things as well.
Yeah. And I actually love that idea. And I think I might actually, because I do practice gratitude quite regularly. I do journaling as part of my evening routine, and listing things that I'm grateful for in my journal is part of my standard kind of routine. But I think I might, take the girls out when it eventually stops raining, um, to go and, pick our gratitude stones and actually start doing that a bit more, just so on like, because I do it quite regularly, but when you're out and about and life's getting busy and hectic and things are all stacking up, and if you're a mum, you're constantly running around, you've always got something to be thinking about, and somebody needs something and wants something. So yeah, maybe just having that little practical element there would be just a little reminder on a more regular basis for me to be grateful, I think.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. And you know what? It's a really nice idea to take the girls out and to
Mhm.
each get a gratitude stone as well, because it's installing that into them at a really young age, which is
Yeah.
really, really cool, actually, I think.
Yeah, because Grace is really into it. Obviously, she's a lot older,
Yeah.
so it makes a lot more sense to her.
Yeah.
Darcy has no idea. She's just a little hurricane that
But
does
she'll grow
that.
up with that
Yeah,
like that thing in her mind that she knows, right, I've got to practice gratitude, and the law of attraction will just flow for her. It'll be
yeah.
second nature to her.
Well, that's my hope anyway, is,
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if you'd been doing this since you could walk?
oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it becomes so natural to you. Like, I think with everything, it's the more you use a muscle, the more it works, the better it works. You know, it's like a flex. Like the more you use it, the better you get at it. And if she grows up using this, she's going to be like a master manifester.
Yeah, she'll be like a proper super attractor by the time
Yeah,
she's like 18.
she'll be like her superpower.
Yeah, literally
Oh my
super
God, that would be
Darcy.
amazing. But yeah, actually, when you mentioned evening routines, I was going to ask you if you could. Maybe people might be interested to know like exactly what your law of attraction kind of routines would
Yeah.
be, because I know a lot of like and me as well, I really struggled with this when I first heard about the law of attraction. I couldn't really wrap my head around how to do it. You
Yeah.
know, how do I do that? How do I think happy thoughts or bring that into my life? I didn't really understand how.
Mm.
So I think it might be really helpful for our listeners if we can give them our insight and our tips into how we do this. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think practical, yeah, because when I read The Secret and was like, oh, this is amazing, like blew my mind, and then was like, but what do I do? How do
Yeah.
I make it happen? What are the practical steps? So,
Mm,
yeah, definitely. Because I have, you know, morning routine for me, and I will be 100% honest with you, is where I'm a bit flaky because, you know, mornings are very stressful in my house. I have two children to get out of the house at stupid o'clock in the morning to do my epic school run that I do. Um, so mornings can be slightly stressful, but what I like to do is I have like when I wake up in the morning, before I even get out of bed or even really kind of like wake up properly, like I'm still kind of lying in bed. I like to just lie there for a minute and just take in how warm my bed is and how comfy it is and how like cozy I am, and just kind of say to myself, today's going to be a really good day. I'm waking up feeling really happy and positive, and we're gonna, carry this through for the rest of the day. So instead of, and for me, that helps, especially if I've had a really bad night with Darcy where she's woken up a lot and I'm tired, because
mm,
otherwise you're going to wake up thinking, oh God, I'm so tired and it's going to be so hard and today's going to suck and I can't wait to get back to bed. So that's something I try to do every single morning, just to set myself up before I've even got out of bed. Um, and then mornings, I think after that is all about making sure you're in the right headspace for things and
mm,
getting your mindset on track, because how you start your day tends to be how your day's going to pan out. Like you were saying, where if you wake up in the morning and stub your toe and then trip over something, and then you're stressed and angry and annoyed, and that's how your day's going to go. I actually have affirmation cards in my bedroom. So when I like sit and I'll get ready and do my hair, I'll pull my affirmation card, just a random one out of the pack, and then just repeat it over and over again in my head while I'm doing my makeup or getting dressed or doing my hair or something like that. And it can be something, really trivial, like, today is going to be a good day, or, everything is happening for me, not to me. That is like one that
mm.
I say quite a lot, is everything's happening for me, especially if I'm going through a bit of a rough time.
Yeah, I like that.
That for me is kind of my like morning. That's pretty much my morning routine. If I have a bit
Mm,
of time, like if I wake up and it's a weekend and both the girls are asleep, then I might, do a morning meditation or, some morning journaling and stuff like that. But when I don't have a lot of time in the mornings, just taking that, 5 minutes to lie in bed and be really grateful for how comfy the bed is and how warm and cozy you are, and just, tell yourself you're going to have a really good day that day, and then find an affirmation that you can repeat while you're getting ready. Those are my two that I would kind of 100% do every single day.
yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I do as a morning routine, but my evening routine, I think, is probably a lot more like, I don't want to say in, detailed, but I do have a lot more time in the evenings to do things. So that's where I can kind of focus a lot more on my vibration and kind of where my mindset is at. So first thing that I do, when my evening is done is I'll, wash my face and get in my pajamas and go into bed, and then I do my meditation. So I'm not one of these people that thinks you have to have a specific place in the house to meditate or have to do it in a really fancy way with, all this stuff. I just sit on my bed, and that's where I'm comfortable. My back doesn't hurt, so that's where I meditate. Um, so that's the first thing that I'll do every evening is do some form of meditation. I used to use guided meditations all the time. And now that I've been doing it for such a long time, I can kind of, get into it myself. But it's quite nice, if you're new to it, for example, if you've not really been a meditation person, use a kind of guided meditation that will really help you to kind of get there. And that's what I'll do first for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, however long I feel like I need to. Um, and then I go into journaling. So I will kind of just journal about anything I'm thinking about, any thoughts, feelings, especially if you do it, well, for me anyway, if you go after a meditation into journaling, I feel like I can kind of do a bit of like free writing where I just write whatever comes to me, how I'm feeling about things. And then I will list out things that I'm grateful for in the day, like things that have happened that I'm grateful for. But I'll always make sure that in my list of gratitude, I also list things like I'm grateful for the house that I live in and the job that I have and my children and my friends and my family and all the things that I class as like the basic things to have in your life. Because I think if you're regularly like showing appreciation and gratitude for those things, they will continue to be constants. So even if it is a bit repetitive of me saying, oh, I'm grateful for our house, I'm grateful for my children, I'm grateful for my family, but I want to make sure that they stay a constant in the things that I'm putting out to the universe. And, I can journal probably, you know, some I have been known to do, 6, 7 pages of just free writing of an evening. But even if you just do kind of 5, 10 minutes, just sit down, kind of list things that you're grateful for, write about your day, you know, and I also use it to kind of talk things through with myself. So if I need to, if something's happened in the day that I need to talk about, I kind of write it to myself in the journal. Like, I know that sounds really weird, but like,
Oh, that's really cool.
nobody's going to see it, like, nobody's
Mm.
going to read what you've written. But if something good's happened, then I'll talk about it. If something's bad happened, then I'll talk about it. But it just kind of gets it out of my head and onto a piece of paper. So it feels
Mm.
like I'm starting to process it, even if I'm not.
Yeah, that's really good. I really like that actually. It's not something that I've done, kind of writing stuff down like that, but I was just thinking, I can imagine, if I was writing down how something made me feel, it would make me realize probably more than when I'm just thinking it. And then, yeah, exactly that, like help me process through what I was going through.
Yeah.
So I really like that idea. That's a really, really good practice to have.
And it's definitely helped me with a lot of things, over the years of just being
Yeah.
able to, because if you're like consciously being like, this has happened and this is how I feel about it, and you're having to write about how you feel, you're tapping into different parts where actually you might not have realized you felt that way about that
Yeah.
situation. And then you
Yeah.
can be like, oh, I was upset about that, or I was really happy when that happened.
Mm.
Just it means, for me anyway, it makes me kind of feel a bit more connected to my emotions and how I actually feel about situations. And
Yeah.
you know it's like kind of off topic but on topic, anyone who suffers with mental health will say, and agree that actually sometimes it's really hard to connect with how you really feel or how your mental health is making you feel. So, and those kind of emotions are, they're always like, they're two separate. I have my, how my bipolar side of me feels about something versus how I actually feel about it.
Yeah,
That's why I started journaling, to try and distinguish between the two.
that's a really good idea because I'll quite often have some, like, say, I say quite often, but if something happens that panics me or makes me feel anxious or stresses me out a little bit, I know, I know in my soul, look, it is going to be okay.
Mm,
That, like, I haven't done anything bad. The world isn't going to end. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's happening as it should be. That's how I really feel about something, but it still doesn't stop me from getting those moments of like anxiety, like,
yeah,
oh God, if I lost my job, like, oh God, I know that, do you know what, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to get a better job.
yeah,
That's just shook me up and I'm going to go and get a better job. I know that. But there'd still be that side of me that would be like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to panic, panic, panic?
yeah.
But that act of writing it down will distinguish, because sometimes the panic and the anxiety overrides
Mm.
the realness of what's going on. So I think that's a really good idea, to write things down. And also, like you said, like when you sit back and think over your day, like so many different things happen in a day that might irk you or spark something in you or make you feel a certain way. Once you write stuff down, it kind of loses its power over you.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Um, shall I go on?
Yeah, yeah,
I Yeah, so I'm a little bit different. I'm the other way around to you. I am definitely a morning person. I don't have small children or anything like that, so I don't really have anyone relying on me in the mornings to get them anywhere, do anything or anything like that. So mornings at the weekend, we all get up later anyway, and we'll do breakfast together. Mornings in the week is very relaxed here, so it's kind of different. Um, I do have plenty of time to, wake myself up nicely, give myself a bit of healing, process some of the crazy dreams that I have. And that's
Mm.
probably another episode that we can talk
Yeah.
about. I dream super vivid pretty much every night, like really intense dreams. And lately I've had a really reoccurring theme in my dreams. But again, as I said, that's probably another podcast. So
Yeah, I'm
it's
writing
just
that
crazy.
down.
And yeah, and like even like recently I've been seeing my dead relatives in my dreams like every night. Which is got to mean something, but I do have really vivid dreams. So when I wake up in the morning, I like to process them, and I like to give myself a bit of healing, always like a heart hold, bit of deep breathing work, and let myself kind of come round nice and naturally. I don't like to pick my phone up first thing in the morning. I like to leave all the technology out of the way. um I have a crystal pyramid by my bed, so I think that helps as well, like takes away um kind of the rays and the energy of my phone. I'm not sure what the actual scientific term for that is. I'll probably remember it when we finish talking, but that's really nice. So, and then I like to get up, go, do my affirmations. So like when I'm brushing my teeth and washing my face and stuff, I just like to think about like how the day is going to go for me. And there's 5 principles that I live my life by every morning that I always remind myself of. And they are something that I learned when I learned Reiki. So they're actually Reiki principles. But for me, they are ingrained into my mind and into my mindset. So they are: just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will do my work with honesty and integrity. And just for today, I will show love and compassion to all living beings. And those are things that really help me start my day right, because I know that I'm not going to be angry. I'm going to bring more peace into my mind so I feel at peace in myself. I'm not going to worry about anything because, I don't want to bring that stress into my body. I want my body to be working at its best. So I let go of worry. being grateful is
Yeah.
exactly what this is about. Being knowing that I'm doing all of my work, whatever that may be, with honesty and integrity makes me feel really good because I've got nothing to hide then with anyone or anything. Like I am just being my honest self, and being kind and compassionate to all living beings is something that again makes me feel quite grateful and happy, and it just makes my soul feel good. So I like to start my mornings off, you know, in a really, when I say positive, that's my kind of positive way, a really positive way. And also something that is really important to me is drinking a lot of water, because I find that that helps clear my body. And I'm really like, I really like to, you know, just reflect on the people around me in my life and how happy I am. And it sets me up for a really, really good day every day. And it takes a little bit of time. I probably spend about an hour doing that in the mornings. But as I said, I am more together in the mornings with that sort of thing than I am in the evenings. I did used to, when I first started, I do all of my kind of work in my head when I'm doing my handhold meditation and a bit of healing into my body. I kind of do a lot of my what I'm feeling grateful for and all those things, and I say my Reiki principles and I remember them, and it always makes me smile and feel really good. But I don't write them down. I do it all in my head. When I first started doing this, I had a little gratitude diary. So each morning I would write these things down. I had my Reiki principles written in the front of the book so I would remember them. And inside the book, then I used to think of 5 to 10 things each morning that I was really grateful for. And some days it was hard. Some days I literally would write things like, I'm grateful that I can write this.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that my hand works and I can write this, because I was like, I don't know what I'm grateful for, but now I feel like I'm grateful for everything. And I don't write it down. Maybe I should start writing it down again, because I really liked what you said about your evening routine. My evening routines are very different. I don't have much time in the evenings. I'm running around after the kids, cooking, cleaning, making sure everyone's showered, making sure all the jobs are done, getting everyone sorted so that the mornings go smooth. So, like for me, the end of the day is often when I get into bed. And so I don't really have time then for anything. I'm just lying down and going to sleep. I quite often do lie down and still, like when I turn the lights out and I go to sleep, I still like to lie and like do my breathing. So like I'll breathe down through my body and just slowly spend a bit of time feeling each part of my body and relaxing and letting each part go. And while I'm doing that, my mind quite often drifts and wanders through different things in the day, but I try to just play them past like they're clouds, and I try not to hold on to anything. I just try to kind of let all the thoughts of the day go each night, because I don't like to dwell on anything, you know, that's been and gone. Some things obviously are like make me laugh. Sometimes I'll just randomly start laughing as we're going to sleep, and my husband's like, what are you doing? Like, oh, just remembering something that happened today, and he's like, oh, you're such a freak. I'm just randomly start giggling away like a maniac next to him. But I try not to hold on too much to anything and just let it go, so that when I wake up in the morning, you know, I'm fresh and ready again. So those are my kind of morning and evening routines. But for me, my morning one is important. Now, I think I'm a morning person. Like I like getting up early in the morning. I'm the only person in this house that does like getting up early in the
Mm.
morning. Like nobody else in this house likes getting up early. I am the one that could be up at like 5, 6 in the morning with nothing to do but just, you know, do my morning routine and stuff like that. But I like that. I like the fact that I'm the only person awake, and you know, I feel like I have the mornings to myself then to kind of do my own thing and settle myself in. Whereas yeah, the evenings are usually really busy in this house. So
That's it. And it's funny, isn't it, how we both do very similar things, but at two different ends of the day. You know,
yeah.
like because the mornings for me are, I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning ish,
Mm,
give or take, whether Darcy decides to sleep in her bed or mine. We're getting ready. I've got people, obviously Grace is old enough to sort herself out, but
mm.
it's myself ready for work and Darcy ready, and then she's got to have breakfast, and she's 2 and is, doesn't want to do anything that I tell her that she's supposed to do.
Yeah,
So the morning's always so hectic, but I would class myself as a morning person. Like I get up quite happily.
early. Yeah,
I don't, I can't remember the last time I had an actual lion, but
yeah.
I'm quite happy to get up. But if I got up any earlier than I already did to do all of the stuff I do at night time, I might as well just never sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already up so early and I go to bed so late that I'm like,
But
if
I think
I got up
that's where
any earlier.
it's different for us. Like Darcy is up early and needs your attention straight
Mm,
away. I mean, she needs you 24/7, but she's awake early with you. Whereas in this house, I am the only person. Like,
mm,
and the school holidays, you won't see the kids till 10:30,
yeah.
at least, and I'm well up before then. But then you see, because they're all older, they all want to stay up late, and like they can stay up later than I'm prepared to stay up. So, the evenings for me are always quite pushed because I'm like, oh, hurry up and go to bed so I can just finish sorting everything out. Like, and it's that's where I end up with no time, because then it's like late in the day that they all want to do things and eat later and all that kind of stuff. Whereas like I like to eat my dinner by like 4:30.
That's what we do. We have dinner
Yeah.
at 4:30.
Yeah. So, and like the kids want to eat at like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, it's bedtime for me anyway. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, so I should have been in bed hours ago. What are you talking
yeah.
about?
But yeah, I guess that's just how it changes as they get older. I mean, I
Mm.
remember Max just being up so early before when he was younger, and it was the total other way around for me. But yeah, it's just changed now.
Um, but yeah, sorry, my brain just went completely blank then. I was about to say something and then it just stopped
The
working.
most.
It
um
did.
but yeah, so I think we've really covered that. Like when life throws a curveball, we've touched on that a
Mm.
little bit. That's when you need to keep the faith a little bit more and keep pushing on.
Mm.
um and our
That's
routines, morning routines and evening routines, and they're very similar.
mm.
um but yeah, I think people have to kind of find their own little way as well, but I hope we've explained.
And just
um
shed a bit of light on, because
yeah,
everyone here, like the words, the law of attraction, the secret, manifesting,
manifestation.
energy and vibrations and stuff get thrown around all over the place.
Yeah,
Sometimes it can be a bit of a minefield when you're thinking, well, that
yeah,
sounds really great. I feel like I could, really get on board with that. And then it's like, but I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what even is
yeah.
it? Like,
I mean,
how
I
does it
literally
even
made
work?
a vision board when I first heard of it. I made a vision board with like a picture of a nice house and a nice car and a check for a load of money on it.
Mm.
And I literally just sat there every day looking at it like, yeah, it'd be great if I got that. Is this all I have to do? Just sit there here looking at it, and then
That's
eventually I'm gonna
it.
get it? Like, how am I gonna get that? I
And
didn't
people
really
do think
understand.
that that's the way, like that's kind of
Yeah.
how it's portrayed as well. So I'm hoping that we kind of gave a bit more detail into the
Insight.
fact that actually a lot of it is how you're feeling. And also,
Yeah.
one thing to add that obviously we haven't really touched on is when it comes to using the law of attraction to your advantage, you have to also take actions. So you have to
Yeah.
actually do things
Yeah.
that are going to, you know, put you
Yeah.
onto the right path.
The
If
right
you
path.
want
That's it.
to kind of manifest things, like if you're trying to manifest money, then you need to not be, you need to be making like smart financial decisions and
And
being
be open to
responsible.
opportunities where you could make money and be willing
Yeah,
to put in some effort to get that.
to
Yeah,
get there.
absolutely.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely need to be
Yeah.
taking actions as well. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people think you just
Like
kind of think
you
about
could
it.
want to have a lot more money in your life and someone could offer you some kind of opportunity and you'd be like, no thanks, I'm not interested. But that could have been the universe's way of putting something there that was
Yeah,
for you. because I
Yeah.
do believe that if it's for you, it will find its way to you as
Yeah,
well.
100%. So saying yes to different opportunities, especially if you are
Yeah,
trying to manifest like new job or, like money or a new
yeah.
relationship, if you're trying to look for a new relationship and your friends keep asking you to come to a certain place and you keep saying no, then you're kind of
Stopping it
feeling and saying one thing and
and
doing
doing
the
another.
opposite. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's definitely an action aspect to it.
you definitely have to be open to
Mm,
receiving as well. You
yeah,
have,
but
you
once
have.
once you start practicing gratitude and raising your
Mm.
vibration and, understanding that the negative things that happen are lessons and that you just have the faith, you become more open to those things and you start to see the universe's way of communicating
Yeah, and I
with
think you
you
start
and
feeling more aligned. Like you just feel
mm,
like, yes, I know I'm on the right path. And little, I call them synchronicities, like little
mhm.
coincidences keep happening, and you're like, oh my God, I must be doing the right thing because
Yeah,
that's just happened. And you'll notice these. The more you pay attention to, the more you become aware of all of the little signs and
yeah,
things that are just they might seem insignificant, but then when you actually pay attention to them, you think, maybe not quite so insignificant like that. That's too much
yeah.
of a coincidence to be a coincidence. That has to be a sign that I'm in the right place,
You
doing the right
start
thing.
stacking them on top of each other and
Yeah,
thinking this happened and this happened and this happened and
yeah,
then it's got to be, it's
yeah,
it's got to be kind of pushing me in the right direction and you start to see
yeah.
the little ways that the universe is communicating with you. If you keep having an opportunity pop up in front of you in different ways, then
There's
that
something there.
yeah, you have to then start kind of following that gut instinct. But
Yeah,
yeah, I just wanted to mention that obviously a lot of it is about how you feel and how you're acting and how you're, portraying it. But yeah, you also have to make some actions and take
yeah. Take
opportunities.
action. Yeah, I like that. You do, because you're not going to get anywhere by just sitting and meditating on the
No,
idea of getting a new house. I mean, you have to take action towards it. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah. And
that makes
I love a
perfect
good
sense.
meditation, but you have to actually do things with it as well. You can sit there
Yeah,
and you can
yeah.
meditate on it and you can journal about it and you can say all the positive affirmations in the world, but if you keep, blocking it by
Closing
the
off
way
to
that
it.
you're, yeah, acting, you're never going to get anywhere and you're just going to get stuck.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, so I think that was a really good episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, and
And
as always, let us know if you have any feedback,
yeah,
questions.
100%. Let us know what you thought, any questions, feedback, and yeah, we will see you guys again next week.